welcome to 49ers in 5, your daily update on everything happening with the team that you need to know. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. Today is Thursday, October 12th, 2023. Here's what's happening with your San Francisco 49ers. We'll get to some audio highlights from Kyle Shanahan's press conference in a minute, but we always start with the injury report. Pretty good for the Niners. Aaron Banks was limited with a shoulder injury, which we knew about coming out of the Cowboys game. Elijah Mitchell did not practice with a knee injury. What else is new? Trent Williams and George Kittle didn't practice, but don't worry. Those are just veteran rest days. And that is it in terms of the injury report. So good news heading into week 6 of the NFL season. Now, let's hear from Kyle Shanahan. As much as we're all kind of just basking in the glow of the blowout win over the Cowboys, that is not where Kyle Shanahan is right now. He is already focused on the Cleveland Browns, definitely not taking them lightly.
This game is, to me, the biggest challenge we've had so far. I mean, thought that was going to be Dallas too, going into it. But then you look at this, and the defensive numbers just jump out. You don't see very much that they're number 1 or 2 in everything. Red zone's the only thing they're not, but that's only because I think they've had 8 plays there all year, and Baltimore ran it in, so that didn't help their rankings there. But everything else is top notch. We're doing that too on offensively right now, so it should be a hell of a battle. When you look at a defense like that, a team who's committed to running the ball like they are, I mean, that's like the prime best way to get into the playoffs, and that's why I expect this team to be there throughout this year.
Cleveland's defense looks amazing so far. They have given up just 125 yards per game passing. That's incredible. And they're the only team in the league that's given up less than 1,000 yards on the season. So if the Niners are going to get their 30 points like they usually do, they are definitely going to have to earn it this week. There really wasn't anything else earth-shattering from Kyle Shanahan in his presser, but I did enjoy the second to last question of the media session.
In any way an issue, or is there anything that you're doing?
Is this what? I missed the beginning. Oh, looks good to me. Yeah, no, there's no issues. That was the neat thing about that injury, that there's lots of questions until he started throwing, which was 3 or 4 months, but all the information on that injury is once he passed that area, as long as you brought him back at the right speed, most quarterbacks, once it heals, it heals.
It is very, very hard to knock anything Brock Purdy is doing right now. Last one for you before we go. Kyle Juszczyk was a guest on Richard Sherman's podcast, and he and Sherman are going back and forth about how Shanahan looks way less stressed this season than he has in years past.
He's even said that, with the team that we have and the culture we've built, the leadership and the amount of experience that we have, like there's just some like little things that like you don't have to worry about as much. Like, when a team starts talking about, playoffs and seeding and that kind of stuff, and it's this early in the year, like sometimes you can get a little worried, like, okay, like, do these guys understand, what it takes to get through an entire NFL season? Like, but with this team, like we've all been through it. We all understand, like, I don't feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves too much. We definitely are like locked into what's happening right now, but we're also aware that, what happens now really does affect us down the line when it comes to seeding, and seeding is huge when it comes to, trying to get in that dance, man. That first round bye is no joke. It's a serious advantage, and that's something we're trying to get.
Getting that number 1 seed is incredibly important. And it sounds like the Niners recognize that, but they also realize in order to do that, they are going to have to take care of their business during the regular season. So far, so good. We always give you one thing to read, one thing to watch, and one thing you might have missed. One thing to read on this Thursday. We're all excited to see the new addition, Randy Gregory, and we want to get him on the field as soon as possible. Kyle Shanahan did not commit to that during his press conference, but if you want to learn a little more about Randy Gregory, David Lombardi has a really cool kind of behind-the-scenes piece in The Athletic. If you want to read it, just click the link in the description of this episode. One thing to watch, Kyle Posey of Niners Nation does fantastic film breakdowns on his YouTube channel. This week is no exception. He has one on the offense from the Cowboys game and one on the defense. I recommend the defense, even though they're both great, but the offense gets a lot of love everywhere. But it's rare to see somebody do film breaking down the great defensive plays in the game. KP does that as good as anybody. We'll have a link in the description. You can also search Kyle Posey, Posey, on YouTube, and it should pop right up. One thing you may have missed, 49ers favorite Jason Verrett is back in the league. He signed with the Houston Texans practice squad. Not surprising considering their coach, DeMeco Ryans. You know the story on Verrett by now. Really good player, terrible luck with injuries. He's coming off his second Achilles tear that happened last November. Best of luck, Jason Verrett. Best of luck, DeMeco Ryans. Hopefully that all works out. That's a wrap on today's 49ers in 5. Please rate, review, and follow the Gold Standard Podcast Network. If you want to help the show, please leave us a 5-star rating and a review. That will help us get up the charts. Stay tuned for the Gold Standard Podcast with myself and Levin Black. That'll be up on YouTube a little bit later this morning. Enjoy your Thursday, everybody. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. We'll talk later today.